Well, the folks in Hollywood may not be the praying sort necessarily, but that's not stopping them from starting those prayers right now. Because, well, the box office is way, way down. How down is it? It's so down that disaster looms, dropping below 2022 up until this point, which was a year of the comeback. 2023 was supposed to be normalcy, but that is no more, as Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny has failed tremendously, along with other movies like The Flash and Elemental. All right, folks, welcome back to another day here on the WDW Pro channel. We have an attitude of gratitude for each and every one of you giving me your time. And as a result, we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. It is an honor to do so. As we dive into this topic today, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and that little notification bell. When you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. All right, we start today with Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny's $82 million 5-day total. From Deadline, Anthony D'Alessandro says it's not far from the July 4th disaster, Superman Returns. And folks, as we get in this article, please note that it's actually probably worse when adjusted for inflation, and not by a little. On the bright side, for Independence Day, bomb Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. Its first 5 days at the box office of $82 million aren't as bad as Paramount Skydance's Terminator Genesis. Oh lordy, when we're down here. That sequel's launched just prior to July 4th, 2015, left a lot of methane in the air with $42.4 million in its Wednesday to Sunday total. The attempted Arnold Schwarzenegger comeback movie ended its domestic run at $89.7 million. Dial of Destiny will cross that mark before its first week is up. Anthony's giving it everything he's got, folks. Let's see how well he continues to do so. Comparing July 4th tentpole hits and bombs can be tricky, since the holiday skips around. Sometimes studios launch on a Wednesday and sometimes a Friday. For box office fanatics, everything is apples to oranges. The last time July 4th fell on a Tuesday was 2017, blah, 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 blah. Anthony, here's what you need to say. It's bad. It's real bad. It's so bad that this could cost huge, huge numbers of executives their jobs. It's so bad that this may actually expose Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy to the truth that the market has turned against them and has been against them for years. The only thing hiding it was the fact that fans had to go see how the Skywalker saga ended, even despite the fact that they hated it. Now, with Indiana Jones out there, surely we cannot go into a Rey movie or to other movies directed or produced or influenced by Kathleen Kennedy, given the fact that she clearly has no idea how to manage the market. Continuing on, with the $300 million plus costing Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny tanking this weekend. And by the way, don't forget, folks, you heard it on Valiant Renegade's channel and on here first. $332 million is what we reported. Now they're saying $329. I think that is pretty darn close. It's as though box office history is repeating itself. Back in 2006, over July 4th, there was another expensive, highly anticipated franchise sequel attempt that was also rejected by fans with a B+ cinema score. And it was Superman Returns from Bryan Singer. So that is how Anthony D'Alessandro is going to spin this. He wants to compare it to Superman Returns. The only problem here is that when you adjust for inflation, guess what? Superman outperformed Indy. And that is terrifying to all of them. We'll continue a little bit. For you see, July 4th is a prime launchpad for studios to take their best shot with a questionable franchise tentpole and milk as much money as possible. If it doesn't look like you're going to post some sort of record over 3 days, go with the 4-day, 5-day, 6-day, 7-day. Warner's took advantage of that opportunity with Superman Returns, minting $108 million 7-day opening. It's a figure Dial of Destiny won't even touch. Again, folks, remember, adjusted for inflation, this is not even close to a comparison that makes any kind of sense. This is catastrophic in comparison to Superman Returns. Superman Returns came out at a time when movie tickets were something like 60% of the cost they are today. This is a huge, huge problem. It's so bad that the audience levels here are about a quarter of what Indiana Jones movies have seen in the past. In other words, 25% of the butts in seats are there this time. It is an absolute abject failure, and one that Hollywood is reeling from because there have been a series of these underperformers. At $82 million over Friday, Tuesday, Dial of Destiny is slightly ahead of Superman Returns, 5-day total of $76 million. I'm tired of the Superman Returns analogy here. Is this all that we have out of Anthony D'Alessandro? Well, we'll go down to the bottom paragraphs. Nonetheless, even with Dial of Destiny repping Harrison Ford's swan song as the man with the hat and the whip, it will certainly be an uphill battle now for Lucasfilm when it comes to making the next Indiana Jones. There is no next Indiana Jones, folks. It's over. It is absolutely over. We can see our totals here off the 5-day. We've got Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny. It's not good. 82 million on the 5-day. Elemental. What do we have here? We've got 17.9 off a 5-day. Off the 3-day, it's $12 million. In other words, it's done. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse pulling in off the 3-day, 12 million, off the 5-day, 17.8 million. In other words, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in its 5th week, nearly beating Elemental yet again. We'll have to wait and see if that comes out to perhaps being such. No Hard Feelings in 4th place. Transformers Rise of the Beast in 5th place. And for those of you keeping track, yes, Transformers Rise of the Beast did outperform Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, and probably will wind up being a better success than Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny worldwide. The Little Mermaid, of course, an absolute train wreck for Disney, likely to lose the company $200 million, although it may be off the hook at this point. That fish is going to swim because Indiana Jones is going to make mockery of it by exceeding the losses dramatically. Now, how bad is this for the entire industry? We go to CNBC from Sarah Whitten. The 2023 movie box office will need a strong second half after inconsistent first 6 months. Here's what it says. The 2023 box office is inching closer to pre-pandemic levels, but inconsistent performances from blockbuster features in the first 6 months of the year will put a lot of pressure on second half releases. In other words, we have seen tremendous success at the box office. We have also seen tremendous failure. Now, what is not being said in any of these media outlets yet, but which they can no longer avoid for much longer, is that this comes down to the ideologies behind these movies. It comes down to the strategies behind the narratives. The films which have had strong paternal and family messages and have avoided woke messaging like the plague, well, they're performing in a near perfect manner. We're looking at you, Super Mario Brothers. We're looking at you, Avatar: The Way of Water. We're looking at you, Sonic the Hedgehog. We're looking at you, Top Gun Maverick. And we're about to be looking at Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. The narrative has been reckoned with. These movies, such as what Disney is putting out, these movies such as The Flash, when they star people who are problematic to say the least, these movies like Elemental, where it is woke, 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 well, they are finding that they go broke, broke, broke. There's no way around it. It's a meme, but it's true at this point. And Hollywood will not be able to avoid it any longer. While the domestic box office has tallied $4.46 billion in ticket sales through June 30th, a nearly 20% increase over the same period in 2022, it still lags behind 2019, the benchmark of a time before the pandemic, according to data from ComScore. Ticket sales. Here's what you need to know, folks. This is what you're not hearing yet, but now they're beginning to say it. Ticket sales are down 21% from 4 years ago. Now, why do we not know that normally? And why would they not tell us that normally? Well, because inflation hides it. But that's not the only thing that's down. So too is the number of wide releases. And if you think that's getting better with the writer's strike, I've got a bridge to sell you somewhere. From January to June 30th in 2019, 57 films were released in 2,000 theaters or more. This year, only 45 releases. Get ready, though. That's going to plunge next year. It really isn't a fair comparison, just dollars to dollars, said Mike Polidoros, CEO at Paper Airplane Media. And quantity matters. This goes on then to blame the lack of movies that are available. But folks, I'm telling you, it's far more than that. Let's get into this section right here, hit and miss. Of course, quality is a big factor in the film's box office success too. It's not enough to simply fill the annual slate with product. The product needs to be good. So far this year, the box office has seen a number of blockbusters fall short of expectations after they were projected to lure in moviegoers and bolster the domestic haul. Warner Brothers, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and The Flash dramatically underperformed, as did Disney's Ant-Man the Wasp, Quantumania, and Elemental, now Indiana Jones. Meanwhile, Universal's Super Mario Bros. Movie, Disney's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Sony's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse have managed to capture audience attention, alongside a slew of horror movies, including Paramount's Scream and Universal's Megan. They leave out Avatar: The Way of Water. They leave out Top Gun Maverick. They leave out some of these other films, which really stick it to them. Even though a few releases haven't lived up to the bullish expectations on their own individual terms, 2023's box office to date is generally about as healthy as could be expected, said Sean Robbins, Well, Mr. Robbins, I'm sorry. When you're in the midst of a hurricane, I guess he can go outside and be like, you know, the weather looks pretty nice today. It's a bit breezy, you might say. Robbins said the main takeaways from the first half of the year are that comic book and nostalgia-driven films are not the novelties they once were. While older millennial audiences have been the driving force behind much of the 2 years in box office recovery, studios would do well to begin catering to younger generations going forward, he said. Sean Robbins has forgotten completely about Tom Cruise. He will remember Tom Cruise again next week. I'm afraid, though, that the narrative will not shift there. And this, folks, is the case where the analysts who got all of this wrong going up to this are scrambling to reframe it, but they are not being successful. Down here, it continues to talk about it and brings back up Top Gun Maverick. In summer 2022, a box office got a boost from Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick, a Paramount and Skydance feature. Between its May 27th release and July 2nd of last year, the film tallied $555 million, making it the highest-grossing film during that time at the box office. For comparison, this summer's highest-grossing film so far is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which was released May 5th and has generated $354.9 million. So, folks, we'll wrap it up here by saying simply this. Theaters are in trouble. They're not in trouble in terms of will they go bankrupt. They're in trouble in terms of can they continue to make movies and put movies on screens for audiences that want to see them. Hollywood has to adjust immediately. The era of Kathleen Kennedy, the era of woke movies, the era of deconstructed and destructed heroes has come to an end. They can no longer afford to do this. And you are going to see major shifts, even if the analysts have yet to accept the reality in which they live. The market does not match up with what they believed society was. No, they will have to make movies that are pro-family, pro-paternal themes. They're going to have to make movies where heroes are heroes once more, where men and women exist together and are complementary. Frankly, I think all of that is good and great. And I can't wait to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning come in and decimate the expectations of the analysts. I'm watching the Barbie movie, and I'm growing more and more concerned that it's going to be a dud. It had all the promise in the world, yet it seems like the premise of it was intended to be divisive at the least. The marketing is certainly starting to move in that direction, despite the best efforts of Mattel to sway those behind the movie to calm down. But Tom Cruise is firing on all cylinders. And then, and a very dark time for cinema will happen. We go into fall, we go into winter, and there is not much. Disney will be preying on a wish. That's the film they have coming out in November, December. And if it performs poorly, they will be on a slide of about 5 animated feature films that could not do anything. Where does this go? Well, it goes to the writer's strike. And folks, the writer's strike means that the content that we are used to will essentially cease next year. We will have a drastic cut in the cadence of content for 2024 unless something drastic happens and drastic happens fast. What are we looking at? Well, we're looking at basically no productions anywhere. And that's why companies like Disney will be forced to put out The Acolyte, despite the fact that they're looking at movies right now cratering based on the same kind of ideas that are driving The Acolyte. Perhaps The Acolyte is even worse. But that's where we are going to be. We're going to be in a place where movies have to come out, shows have to come out, whatever they've got, because they'll have nothing else. They're going to survive this. Entertainment will return, and I'm optimistic. I'm excited to see the future as entertainers realize that they must shift, they must change. And those who can't, those who are so ideological and partisan that they cannot change that which they put up on the screens, well, they're getting ready to disappear because the market and society have spoken. Folks, that's the video for today. If you enjoy content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. And when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. I covet your comments. Drop one down below and let me know what you think about this topic. And to all of you out there who are joining this channel over the last few days for the very first time, thank you and welcome aboard. Your thoughts, your time, it really does matter to all of us here behind everything at WDW Pro. We appreciate you. You are the electricity that drives all of this. So folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment explained, the culture curve conquered, Live with Pro and all his friends.